Oh, Merry Christmas. Okay. Now, as many of you know, as I mentioned earlier in the show, John couldn't make it in today. He had some Christmas parties last night. He got a little ossified, so I was in the neighborhood and I came in. Now, as many of you may or may not know, Santa suffers from bipolar disorder. And sometimes I'm a naughty Santa, sometimes I'm a nice Santa. Naughty Santa is going to be retired for today, and we're going to have a very nice, peaceful rest of the show today as Nice Santa. Now, it's very nice when we tune into Liquid Lunch at the North Pole, and we see the Mix It Up segment. Woo, boy, do I love that. I get the cinnamon stick and my hot toddy. Mrs. Claus brings it over nice and warm. I stir it up, and then I sit back and relax and watch two of the finest guests on Liquid Lunch slug it out. It's none other than David Eisenbach, professor at Columbia University, candidate for New York City Public Advocate, and John Burnett, managing director of One Empire Group, a Republican who ran for New York City Comptroller. Gentlemen, welcome to this Christmas Eve edition of Mixes It Up. I'm in for Santa, and it's quite the honor to have you two guys with me today. Thank you.
Good to be here, Santa.
Good to be here, John.
All righty. Well, John is off today. Santa's here today, just so you know, JB. Trump has stepped in and threw a big bag of coal on the steps of the House of Representatives and Senate and said no to $900 billion worth of stimulus. We at the North Pole thought it was quite a weak package to begin with millions and billions going around the world and $600 measly going to the poor folks who are out of business right now. David, let me ask you, should Trump have vetoed this bill?
Trump should have been bad-mouthing this bill months ago. He should have been insisting on $2,000 checks. And if he had gotten his way, and I think he could have gotten it, he might have won the presidency. If Americans got in October a $2,000 check with his name on it, man, I think it would have been hard to beat.
John Burnett, it certainly seems to me, and I think there's more than ample proof out there now, that Nancy Pelosi would not let the bill go forward for exactly the reason David states. She did not want to give Trump a victory right before the election. How evil was that, to hold back money from people just to cause election interference?
It was extremely evil. She didn't want it to go out because it was a huge check that Americans, working class Americans, absolutely needed. And guess what? It would have actually been probably accompanied by a letter saying, you know, this is Donald Trump. I know you're hurting. I'm with you. We'll get through this together. They didn't want anything to be that's positive to be associated with Trump. There are countless news stories, David. There are countless news stories that actually stated that Democrats purposely held up relief to Americans, and then a slap in the face when it does come is reduced to $600, and they give billions away to global citizens and screw American citizens.
Well, let's get our facts straight, and I know it's hard to do on Newsmax, right? But we're going to get our facts straight on this one. It was Mitch McConnell.
No, I think Newsmax was quite clear in the facts that they stated. Let's not take cheap shots.
I will not sign on to that $2,000 way back in the fall. The Democrats were ready to go. And it was Donald Trump, who was MIA throughout the negotiations, who refused to step in and do the actual job of leadership to get what he wanted, right? And all of a sudden, after a deal gets done, he now steps in and says, oh, this isn't good enough. Where was he in the fall?
Well,
MIA.
I have a feeling that he's going to get his way. People will get $2,000, and that will soften the blow for many in America when they find out.
My question to you guys is, why didn't he do this back in September when it could have done him good in his presidency?
Why is it too late, David? Why is it too late? It's never too late.
Lost. Because surprise, Rudy Giuliani was lying the whole time, and there is no hope for his reelection. And we're going to have Joe Biden in January.
Checks, David. We're talking about stimulus.
We are talking about stimuli right now, so
yeah,
I don't know about
why.
The
okay, so why didn't Donald Trump put in the time and effort to actually fight for those checks back in September?
I think he was, but Nancy Pelosi was demanding $2.5
No,
trillion
how are you not
along with
seeing that
allowing
Mitch
illegal
McConnell
immigrants
was
to
the
vote
one?
and many other
David,
things.
Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats passed a stimulus bill with checks back in June.
David, I know that you're a history professor, but I need you to stay in the present.
Yeah, stay
We
in the
need to
present.
get this done now. And
Yeah.
that's the only thing we need to talk about.
And who's the stumbling block? It's not Nancy Pelosi, it's Mitch McConnell.
Maybe right. And Mitch McConnell is quite a strange character, but I think he's done pretty well with the leadership, certainly with appointing judges. Speaking of mixing it up, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is certainly going to get a bag of coal tonight when I get to Queens in the Bronx. But over on the Senate side, Ted Cruz and AOC seem to be in agreement, which is quite the strange bedfellows. David, isn't it, as a presidential historian, a great scholar, isn't it a little crazy to drop a 5,000-page bill and expect everyone to vote on it in hours?
Well, it's actually typical of Washington, D.C. And what we saw in this meeting of AOC and Ted Cruz is something similar we saw in the opposition to the defense bill, which saw a similar conjoining of Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, with Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, the kind of left wing of the Democratic Party, that, when they have a bipartisan come together of the leadership of both the Democrats and the Republicans, it's usually full of corruption, pork barrel spending, and everything against the interests of the typical American.
It looked to me like there was more pork in that bill than a butcher shop because there were a whole bunch of late throw-ins, Smithsonian Institute, the Kennedy Center for the Arts. I mean, what in the world is going on? JB, let me ask you this. Was it strange to see AOC and Ted Cruz agreeing on something? I almost rang the bell.
Hey, a clock is right twice a day, right?
A blind squirrel always finds a nut.
And honestly, this is the thing, right? When you actually focus on the American people, there can be agreement on both sides, right? This is not a red or blue issue. It's a purple issue, right?
Yeah.
We should come together and actually protect and care for Americans as well as small businesses. But Nancy Pelosi is up to her old tricks. You got to pass it to see what's in it. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Here's what I don't understand. I'm perfectly capable of criticizing and bashing Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I do it all the time. Why don't you ever mention that Mitch McConnell is the primary factor in the Senate for making these lousy bills, whether it was the defense bill that should have been vetoed or the stimulus bill? Why don't you ever criticize Republicans, John?
This started in the House, David.
Well,
This started in the House,
you are
David.
so hopeless. The fact of the matter is that Mitch McConnell is a creature of the establishment and the big banks and the corporations, just like Chuck Schumer is and just like Nancy Pelosi. Only I'm willing to call out people on my side of the aisle. But for you, whether it's Donald Trump or Mitch McConnell or anything any Republican does, it's got to be good.
David, I am calling out people on my
You
side.
don't
There are some Republicans that are against this $2,000 stimulus check. And I'm not standing with them.
No.
That is clear, David.
People should get 2 Gs. What the hell? We got the magic printing press in the sky. It's like Christmas every day when you just can print
But I
unlimited
will say,
amounts of money.
unlike you, David, we need to open up because we can't keep drafting these bills with $300, $600, $200, $2,000 checks and have people stay home. I know you want universal basic income, David. This is probably the path that you and your buddies in Washington are tracking down, but we need to stop this. We need to open up. We need to get our economy back.
Okay, guys.
The minute the Fed stops printing the money and that the government stops delivering the checks is when this house of cards of an economy, this artificial, ridiculous bubble starts popping. So I'm not sure we want to see that day anytime soon.
Well, unfortunately, John's not in today, and I'm filling in for him as Santa because it's Christmas Eve, and I thought it might be nice to drop in at the Max Pub here in Staten Island, great freedom and liberty fighters. But John came under some intense scrutiny this week as a video of him went viral because he had to read a disclaimer on Newsmax. Now, Every host on the network read it, but for some reason, social media seemed to focus in on this, Luke. JB, what were your thoughts on Newsmax's position on this?
Newsmax, it goes back and forth. Usually they take the opposite side of Fox. Maybe some of their lawyers probably got a hold of the editorial and business leaders and said, look, we need to take a neutral position here and actually do some risk management instead of expressing their opinions, which JT and others did. And that's what America is based upon, free speech. So it's kind of interesting that Newsmax would backpedal on this.
Well, I can tell you from my conversations with JT, he was quite surprised. But his position was that those who follow him regularly on Liquid Lunch know what his personal feelings are. And rather than make an existential decision, the idea to move forward in life and provide for your family is to follow the corporate path. And I think Newsmax would rather put themselves in a position where they could be around for a long time rather than force the global forces of evil to sue them and potentially not be around anymore. So I believe John did what he thought was right. David, you said...
you can't lies. I warned you weeks ago. Rudy Giuliani's a liar. Sidney Powell's a liar. They were feeding in misinformation.
That's defamation, David. Be careful.
And no, they're lying.
Next week, David will be reading a disclaimer.
They lied, and you repeated it. Newsmax repeated it. And the next stop on the apology tour should be the governors of Arizona, Georgia, along with the Secretary of State, Michigan, Wisconsin, that the lies were told about and shared and spread off this network. They should get the apologies too.
But Santa, I think if JT was here, he would mention the fact that Newsmax is contemplating a huge growth strategy that may include going public, an IPO. So I think their thought process, their positioning, their editorial content and business strategy will be quite different than it has been in the past going forward, given their aggressive growth strategy.
That, my friend, is quite the intense, thoughtful forecast. I know JT may be under some NDAs that would prohibit him from sharing non-public information, but I think, as usual, your instincts are right on the money, JB. And as you and I both know, we're not prestigious professors at Columbia University, but we spend quite a good amount of time on Wall Street. The last thing you would want to do is be going out to institutions to raise money and have a pending lawsuit. So to create a defense strategy is probably a way to move forward with greater plans, and I think I understood it fully.
It's about the greater plan of spreading the truth, being a news source that deals in the world of facts and not Rudy Giuliani's insanity.
Okay,
right?
Dave.
That gets laughed out of every courtroom in America.
David, just stop it. We spent 4 years on the Russian collusion that was a complete hoax, David. Stop it.
Yeah,
I'm not the one that has to apologize for feeding misinformation to the American public.
Oh,
right?
David is feeling good today. I see that.
And so it's time to deal with the truth and reality and facts, and not Rudy Giuliani's.
David finished his mystery.
Piece.
David finished his mystery cup before the.
Yeah, what's in the cup today? What's in your wallet? Yeah, Davey. No, hey guys, we're gonna have to leave it there. I want to thank you both. I'm going to ring the bell for you because although you didn't agree, everyone agrees that you guys are the best in the business. We had a little issue with JB's camera today.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, man.
All right.
I got to figure that out.
Do want to wish both of you guys a very Merry Christmas. David, despite your choice of employers, I will be by tonight with a bag of goodies for you. And JB, as usual, you're on the top of the list and everything you desired. And I have your letter right here, actually, what you asked for. A little freaky, but it'll be there, my friend. Guys, thank you very much.
All right, have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Take care, guys.
God
Merry
bless
Christmas.
you guys. We take a quick break right now and come back with a more very Merry Christmas Eve edition of Liquid Lunch. Stick right there.